thing is, I do believe there was talk about these things. I believe if we study history, the Confederates were able to shoot pterodactyls, back in the Civil War, and they spread these things out. Anybody can look it up online.
Google it
They
yourself.
spread these things out, and this is a historical fact. So, they spread this thing out, and it's got a huge winglet. It was a pterodactyl they shot. So, of course, these things have been around. Now, they went extinct, obviously, slowly, but surely. And so...
What I'm saying is Jesus wrote a dinosaur to work. That's history. It's in the Bible. How to Train Your Dragon.
Historical facts.
And if you don't believe it, do your own research. Pull up Google. You'll find the picture, I promise.
Oh my God.
Thank you, John Gleason, Godless engineer, for gifting me this beautiful moment. Y'all remember when they tried to cancel Steven Spielberg for posing with an animatronic triceratops animal rights activist?
Back it up.
Hit it from the back.
Cloaca. Historical facts.
Eat my ass, BP. You're down here bailing on the rest of us because you don't want to process your grief and shame like a normal person by drinking and mistreating strangers.
No, Rick. It is you who must nibble my cloaca, or bird asshole.
Everyone knows what a cloaca is.
back in the Civil War, and they spread these things out. Anybody can look it up online. They spread these things out, and this is a historical fact. So, they spread this thing out, and it's got a huge winglet. It's a pterodactyl they shot. So, of course, these things have been around. Now, they went extinct, obviously, slowly, but surely. And so...
Paul Bunyan was sharing some Funyuns with his pet velociraptor.
Whoa.
Oh, you thought it was an ox? Roll back the clock. Let me knock the socks off. Historical facts.
I didn't cut out. You heard me. Are you a pervert or something? Okay.
What's up, heathens? How y'all doing? Y'all ready for the last see, notifications are on. Y'all ready for the last stream of 2022?
Hey, I don't know if y'all know this, but every time you donate, the Lord cries.
That's a true statement. The Lord cries every time you donate to me and not to God. So he's up there right now crying like a little bitch baby. Well, Daniel M. didn't donate to my ass. He donated to GE. Daniel M. says, David says good night. Well, good night, David. I hope you have a great weekend and a great entrance into 2023. And we got Quentin Van Boeven, who's going to be on the highway to hell, saying sending in my weekly tithe.
I'm on the highway to hell.
Sending in my weekly tithe. Been a few weeks since I've been able to watch, so time to give money to shitty causes. And the shitty cause for this month of December, I believe, is RAIN. That's the Rape, Abuse, and Incest National Network. And we're going to be donating to them this month. So thank you guys so much for doing that. Star Sapphire Tomato Chan.
Hey, y'all know what? Anytime is a good time for a beer.
Says that making the baby Jesus cry by donating to you. That's right. Making baby Jesus cry is what everybody should be doing. Because baby Jesus is a little bit of a dick. Anyways, tonight we're going to be checking in on some Muslim apologists who claim that Santa and, using Santa around the holidays for, some of the smaller children, is turning people to atheism. And he's got a rock solid argument for how Santa Claus turns, kids into atheists. So if you have any small children who, are still believing in Santa Claus, y'all might not want to have them watch tonight, because I'm sure Santa doesn't want this kind of blasphemy out there. We got Asexual Atheist who says, atheist tithe. We should thank the Bulgarians for Tate's arrest. I feel like we should thank Tate, Andrew Tate, for Tate's arrest.
Maybe you should quit drinking all that beer, GE.
Because he's the dumbass who decided to clap back against Greta and get his ass arrested. Also, he's the one that did all the human trafficking in the first place. Yes, he is a stupid ass. That's right, honey. Romanians. Jay-Z Meister says, for the last time of 2022, take my evil atheist money and do some good with it. I cannot wait to see...
Maybe you should quit drinking all that beer, GE.
Cannot wait to see the good we will all do next year. And I do have a little bit of an update on that, just to let you guys in on how successful we were in the 2022 year. We will be talking about that soon. But as for tonight, for this live stream, we are going to be looking at a Muslim apologist using Santa as a way to argue against atheism, maybe, or maybe he's arguing against using Santa Claus at all for the young children. So tonight is definitely not a live stream for the young children's. So make sure you cover up their ears and everything like that. But if you want to find out how Santa Claus is driving young children to atheism, then please stay tuned. Here in a second. Hold on. All right. Star Sapphire Tomato Chan says,
Holy shit, this'll buy me a cranberry log.
Yep. Tate, more like Andrew Tate. Small PP energy. Yeah, so I do have that we're gonna go over, which I don't know if I actually if I've got the tweets and everything like that, so we're gonna cover what that's about. If you guys don't know what's going on with Andrew Tate, I'll do some explaining for y'all. I do appreciate all of the super chats that are coming in for the last time this year, which, just to kind of give y'all, I told y'all that I was going to kind of do this, to give y'all kind of an update as to what we've done this year here on the GE channel. I have been keeping some sort of metrics, and for the year 2022, well, including this month, because we have gotten our YouTube paycheck for this month. But so for the year 2022, we were able to donate just about $5,000 to shitty causes. Well, good causes that we are shitty for donating to. And in the fiscal year, we ended up doing about 23% of the revenue that we got here on GE went to donations. 30% ended up going to taxes. And so just under 47%, it was 46.5% was our net revenue for the channel here. So yeah, we've done pretty good this year with donating about $5,000 to taxes, not taxes, to shitty causes. we did a bit more to taxes because, you know, Uncle Sam's got to get their pretty penny even from the poor ass YouTube channels that get paid out here. But just so that you guys know that we had about 23% of all of the revenue that we got off the channel, which that's actually 23% of what we got from the gross amount that we got paid. So it's not like I took taxes out and then I did it. I did the 23% is pre-tax. and then I would take the taxes also come out of the gross, and so it's kind of a weird thing that we have to do as far as the channel goes here. But we donated $5,000 to shitty causes, which good causes, but we're shitty for doing it, apparently. We're one of the shittiest channels out there that donates to good causes. So that's the kind of effect that we've had this year. The Skeptic Mafia, all of the super chatters, all of the people that have watched our stuff, they have also contributed because of how views get converted into advertising dollars and all this other stuff. I really appreciate. I just want you guys to know that I really appreciate y'all helping us out by in donating the $5,000. And you guys have just been great this entire year. We couldn't have done it without y'all. So definitely big kudos to all of you out there that have watched our videos, have been part of the Skeptic Mafia, and have done super chats. You guys are great. And we will keep doing this on into the 2023 year. We're going to keep doing our Friday night live streams, where I always need good ideas for the videos that we cover on Friday nights, because it's normally just me typing in atheists or atheism or something like that into the YouTube search. So if you guys have any kind of good ideas on videos to cover, which sometimes we get good video ideas sent to the GE, to john@godlessengineering.com. If you guys want to send that there. But we always get really great, really great suggestions sent to the email. So, let's see. All of that's kind of out of the way. Like I said before, if you want to donate, we're going to be donating to shitty causes like rain, we're shitty for donating to good causes like rain. is the way that goes. We're this month we're going to be donating, to rain. And if you want to be a part of that, be part of these great causes that we're donating to, and being part of the shittiest channel, being part of one of the shittiest channels here on YouTube, then consider doing a super chats. Yes. Keep doing the super chats, keep watching, and all this other kind of good shit. Sorry, my brain just totally brain farted there for a second. So we're not going to be having Bro Cephas on tonight, but yes, he's getting started early on the new year, so he's drunk. And but we do have some comments that I would like to go over. So we're going to do that, and then we're going to get on into the Santa stuff. So here, if y'all are, shit. Where's my uke?
Sorry, I moved it out of the way because it was in the way.
Sorry, all of my shit's always in the way. All right, I hope you guys are ready, because we got some comments, which I think is going to play to the Today I Learned thing, maybe. When we get, yep. Today I learned, but also there's some shitty comments. I didn't get this part set up, so y'all are going to have to bear with me while I get it set up. But let's go on. We got our comments of the day song to go over, though. Comments of the day. Prepare to facepalm yourself in the next week. Let's say bigzebra.com says, GE, you could sell temporary tattoo versions of your real tattoos. I mean, I literally, well, there's not really any unique ones on me, because I found most of them off the internet. Like, that's just Mario. This right here is probably copyrighted by Nintendo, as well as this guy right here. So But anyways, let's get to these comments real quick that I was wanting to go over. Let's see. All right, first up, we've got Kyle Shittenhouse. If you guys don't know, Kyle Shittenhouse killed 2 people, and he got off, in court for it. So, he's roaming free on Twitter. But Kyle Shittenhouse said that the Bible and the Constitution should be taught in schools, not abortion and sexuality. Well, first off, I feel that both abortion and sexuality probably should be taught more with better resources in schools. I feel like those 2 topics are things that a lot of people don't understand and need to know more about. And because, in ideally in public schools and in schools in general, you should be getting the best information about these topics. You would think, I would hope. So that's why I would not necessarily leave it up to the parents to teach kids about these kinds of things, because that's when you get into the whole crazy area of using what's the Alex Jones things? InfoWars?
Thanksgiving is not a good day to be my pants.
Nope, it's not Thanksgiving, but also Christmas dinner is also not a good time to be my pants unless they're the sweatpant. We did have chili spaghetti, and it was damn good. Yeah, it was great. I love chili spaghetti. I don't know if anybody is kind of in the Ohio, Kentucky, tri-state area kind of area right there. Skyline chili has just ruined me for chili. I love Skyline chili and with the noodles and then the raw onions and the cheese. It's just great. Anyways, Alex Baranowski says, yes, my Performing Abortions 101 class went so well in high school. Yeah, currently I would hazard to guess that probably abortions and sexuality is not being taught in high school, but I think that it should. Anyways, I said the Santa Engineer, very on point for this live stream tonight, Santa Engineer and me, says that the Constitution is taught in your social studies class. Abortion and sexuality should be taught in your health class.
We got a new member.
Woo, Less Than Lucid just got gifted a membership.
We got a new member.
Binge Thinker.
We got a new member.
So apparently Philly 3000 accidentally.
We got a new member.
Accidentally timed out Less Than Lucid. I'm sure that was kind of a hair triggery thing.
We got a new member. We got a new member.
Well, Eric Hamion gifted 5 Godless Engineer memberships, and I really appreciate that.
We got a new member.
Green Gel Acid.
We got a new member.
Okay, I feel like he's on a little bit of a repeat there. Anyways, thank you so much there, Eric Hamion, for gifting 5 memberships. Really appreciate you doing that. I love seeing people get gifted memberships to the channel here, because we do have a podcast that we do, and we'll try to get a bit more regular about that in the 2023 year, as well as doing the member hangouts. I'm going to try to be a lot more regular with those, because those are part of the memberships. If you're mafioso or higher, you're supposed to be able to hang out with me once a weekend, and I haven't been really great about that. But anyways, abortion and sexuality should be taught in your health class. That would be the appropriate places to teach about that. The Bible, however, should stay the fuck in your church. The Bible doesn't have any kind of of value in the classroom unless you're teaching about literature. If you're using it to teach about literature, I can possibly see a reason for bringing out the Bible in a literature class, because it is a piece of literature. It's a piece of literature that has had profound effects on our history. So I think that would be perfectly fine. But if you're talking about having the Bible in just in school in general, like either praying from the Bible, using spouting off some kind of Bible quote at the beginning of the day, no, that's not the appropriate place for that. If you want to read your Bible, do it at home.
2 Timothy, what the fuck ever, shut the fuck up.
Or do it in church. Those are 2 very good places in order to do that. Now, also, I would say that you're more than welcome to bring your Bible to school. Nobody is stopping you from doing that. Nobody is stopping anybody from bringing a Bible to any classroom. What's prevented by the Constitution is, specifically the First Amendment in the Bill of Rights, is that teachers in public schools can't use the Bible to push religious belief on kids. That's what's not allowed. So keep the Bible out of the institutions, the public institutions. Kyle Shittenhouse can go fuck himself. Yeah, fuck yourself, Kyle Shittenhouse. Right in the shitter.
Holy shit, this'll buy me a cranberry log.
Star Sapphire Tomato Chan buying me cranberry logs. Star Sapphire says they really need to enforce the Johnson Amendment. Yeah, they really do, but, a lot of people don't. Apocalypse Meow says, Happy Godless Engineer! Thank you for that. Yes, very happy Godless Engineer to you, too. I need more alcohol for this. Anyways, Capturing Christianity, the one that's highlighting the intellectual side of Christianity. Everything okay over there?
Yeah, I was trying to log into YouTube on the desktop so I could get some memberships because I can't do it on my damn phone.
Oh, you
but
can't?
I don't know my fucking password.
Fucking hate passwords. So Capturing Christianity, Cameron Bertuzzi, who's highlighting the intellectual side of Christian apologetics, here is posted up a meme, although he put it in like a weird frame, but in any case, Cameron says it's going to be okay, I promise. And the meme says, when you're a new atheist, but discover there's actually loads of evidence for God. Now, I wanted to bring this up and talk about it real quick because I've never had this experience. And I don't know if anybody out there is really having this experience. Are people having this kind of experience out there? Like, are there atheists that, come to the conclusion that they don't believe in a God, but then after the fact, they discover that there's actually loads of evidence for God? Like, I really don't know that this is actually happening. Because for one thing, the evidence, the quote unquote evidence for God is not good, and it doesn't support the conclusion. And I would hope that before anybody decides that they don't believe in a God, that they would have at least been exposed to this evidence, that they would have not just brazenly said, oh, I don't believe in a God, because of, one tangential thing or another. I would hope that you would actually look into what is claimed to be evidence for God, and then you're just not convinced by it. Like, that's what I would hope would happen. But I don't know if there are atheists out there that are actually feeling this. I feel like this is kind of one of those gaslighting thing, either gaslighting or it's just a straw man. because I just don't see atheists having this experience. Now, maybe I'm wrong because I don't pretend to know all atheists or know everybody's experience, and I tried to never speak from a very broad brush kind of perspective, but I just don't understand why an atheist would have this experience. So if there is anybody out there that is having this kind of experience, I would love to hear from you. But as it stands right now, I just don't see anybody having this particular experience. Now let's go into this whole Tate thing. I don't know if you guys know about Andrew Tate. I've responded to him once before on my channel a while back, where he was leaving atheism for religion. And apparently he was an atheist, and then he decided to not be an atheist, and it was for like really bad reasons. I mean, oh.
Did you know when I do super chats and shit, it comes from your PayPal?
Oh. I mean, that kind of makes sense.
We got a new member.
Woo! All right, I'm gonna let this play out while
we
I
got a
find the
new
Tate
member.
stuff. Thank you so much, honey, for donating 5 memberships.
We got a new member. 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 We got a new.
No? Okay. Well, thank you so much. Thank you, both Eric Hamion and KC, for donating what is right now 10 memberships to people. I hope that you guys will use those memberships wisely. Yeah, these fucking emojis are awesome, guys. All right, so let's explain this whole Andrew Tate thing. Let's go through the timeline of events. So Andrew Tate gets unbanned on Twitter at some point. I'm not sure how long ago he was unbanned for, but Andrew Tate's a dipshit. He's like a men's rights activist type of person who's just, if you were to think of what would be the shitheel of humanity, it's Andrew Tate. Okay? And that's essentially what Andrew Tate is. He's a horrible person. And he decides that he's going to throw some shade at Greta Thunberg. Greta Thunberg is the climate change activist, teenage climate change activist who's made a lot of waves in the news, is very outspoken about her passion for informing people about climate change and the problems with climate change. And so Andrew Tate, for some reason, is trying to virtually coal roll Greta Thunberg on Twitter. Because he's a giant fucking loser with a small dick. Well, we'll get to that here in a second. But, and if you don't know what coal rolling is, you should put it into YouTube and you can go and look it up. Basically, hillbilly hicks love to get their massive trucks that have like the smokestacks on the side and just tailpipes or whatever, big tailpipes. And what they love to do is that I don't know what they do exactly is to get it to do this, because I'm not a dipshit that wants to ruin the environment. But what they'll do is they'll blow this black smoke out of their exhaust onto people. In their car. Right. If they see any kind of liberal or anybody, in any kind of situation where they think that coal rolling would be funny, they're going to do it. I've seen them do it to where they coal roll a bunch of smoke into a restaurant before, because that's how much of a dick they are, okay? But essentially, Andrew Tate was trying to coal roll Greta Thunberg on Twitter by saying, "Hello, Greta Thunberg. I have 33 cars. My Bugatti has a W16 8.0 liter quad turbo. My two Ferrari 812s Competizione have 6.5 liter V12s. This is just the start. Please provide your email address so I can send a complete list of my car collection and their respective enormous emissions." Emissions like donkeys. I believe that he's a Muslim now, not Christian. He's not Christian, so, and I can't recall how much.
Honestly, who cares? He's a dipshit either way.
No, I know, but it's just the emissions of donkeys comes from the Bible, and I'm not sure if it's in the Quran or not. But anyways, in any case, this is how it started, okay? And of course, Greta Thunberg clapped back on Tate. Reasonably, I thought, because like here's him just, I guess, filling up his car, his nonsensical expensive car, and he could have, but then he wouldn't have that shitty fucking car. Daniel M says, around here, those fucks coal roll no matter what. Yeah, they just love to ruin the environment in general, so that doesn't surprise me.
Gobble, gobble, motherfucker.
It works for Christmas, too, because, they kill turkeys on Christmas, too. Anyways, Greta says, yes, please do enlighten me. Email me at smalldickenergy@getalife.com. Obviously, meant as a joke. Because Greta just doesn't really give a fuck about Andrew Tate and how many cars he has or anything like that. Like, the amount of emissions that Andrew Tate could put out in a year does not really compare all that much to the systemic problem of us adding more carbon to the environment and causing global climate change. Yeah, he can only drive one car at a time. I don't care if he sits there and he like revs the engine and just burns through gas like 24/7. Like, this is more of a systemic problem. So like, Andrew Tate thinks that he's way more important than he actually is. Okay, so that's what Greta said, and then of course Andrew Tate came back with a 2-minute video, and
hours later, 10 hours later, it took him 10 hours to figure out this.
Right, it took him 10 hours to respond to Greta Thunberg, and he did it with a 2-minute video where basically he was trying to suggest that Greta revealed that she has a dick or something. I don't know. Well, so he was trying to suggest all of these things, like to be demeaning and disgusting towards Greta, basically. But the thing is that he got an order of pizza while he was sitting there, and he's like, "Please bring in the pizza." And they set it down, and apparently this was a pizza place that is local to Romania, and apparently the Romanian police have a warrant out for Andrew Tate's arrest for human trafficking. Human sex trafficking is, I believe, what it was, right? Yes. And so they didn't know that he was in country still. And once they saw the pizza boxes and saw that it was a local Romanian place, they were like, oh, we should go and raid his house. So they went and raided his house and arrested both him and his brother. Obviously, I don't have the videos or whatnot of him being arrested, but we do know that he definitely was arrested for human sex trafficking. So that's to just catch you up on the situation with Andrew Tate, because there are a couple of comments that I was wanting to highlight that require you to know a little bit about this situation. Like, here's a Kevin Sorbo tweet that says, weird how Andrew Tate being swatted for alleged human trafficking causes celebration from the left, yet they're still silent about Epstein's client list. I mean, I don't know what the fuck he's talking about, like people being silent about Epstein's client list. Like, people want Epstein's client list to be revealed. Like that's across the platform, or across, political affiliations. People want that to be revealed for whatever, for reasons. But well, yeah, the Republicans want to do it so they can send Hillary to jail or some shit. But in any case, like, there's nobody out there that doesn't want human sex traffickers revealed and arrested and stopped. Okay. That's just that's not something that people don't want.
This is something we can all agree on.
Right. We can all agree on that. But it's weird how Kevin frames it here, because he says he was swatted for an alleged human trafficking. For one thing, if you don't know what swatted is when you call in a fake crime to a location so that the SWAT team will show up and raid the house. Typically, gamers do it when a game's not going their way and they just really don't like the person on the other end. So if they know the person, they know where he's at, they'll call up and they'll have the police SWAT the person. And it's actually resulted in some deaths in the past. So it's a very dangerous thing. But to say that he was swatted means that apparently somebody called in a fake crime to Tate's house, or about Tate's house, and had a SWAT team raid the house. That's not what happened. What happened was Andrew Tate got cocky, let people know that he was in Romania, and the Romanian police were like, oh shit, he's in country. We should probably go and fucking arrest him for human sex trafficking. And so they went and they did that. Nobody swatted Andrew Tate or anything like that. So Kevin Sorbo just needs to get his terms correct, maybe. Here's Cernovich. I'm not exactly sure who Cernovich is. The name kind of sounds familiar, but I don't know. It could just be some rando. But anyways, he says, I legitimately believe the real reason Andrew Tate was attacked by the regime was due to his strong message to men to not be fodder for these global wars. Anyone reaching his level of prominence with that message to men of prime fighting age has to be stopped. It was in Romania. What the fuck is he talking about? Smirkonish?
The guy from CNN.
Okay, maybe. I don't know. Cernovich, I thought Cernovich sounded familiar, but in any case, doesn't matter, because this guy right here thinks that Andrew Tate was being attacked for his strong message to men. He was raided because he's a human sex trafficker, or alleged, I have to say, because he's not been charged yet, alleged human sex trafficker. That's the reason why. It's not because he got into like a Twitter argument with Greta Thunberg. It has nothing to do with that, other than he got a bit too cocky and decided to let everybody know he was in Romania, which he shouldn't have done if he was hiding out from the police. Such a dipshit. Yeah.
Donating this much only makes me drink more. Woot woot! Here comes the gravy train.
All right, so we got a couple of super chats to go over real quick. Cadence says the best part, the Romanian anti-human trafficking movement is officially called Greta, Group of Experts on Action Against Trafficking in Human Beings. That is just fucking awesome. That's great right there. Daniel M says, I haven't heard of anyone swatting in a while. Has that died off, or do people still do that? I mean, I haven't heard of it being done in a while, but I would imagine that after people started being like arrested for it and people started dying because of it, my guess is that people probably decided that it was too risky to do anymore, or is too serious to do, because people always saw it as a joke before. now it's a lot more serious, like, of a thing. So I can see that being curtailed, but I would definitely think that it probably does happen on occasion. I don't see any reason why it wouldn't be. So that's my take on that. But that's it for the Greta Thunberg versus Andrew Tate. Andrew Tate knocked his own self out, punched himself in the dick, and got himself arrested. All because he wanted to clap at Greta Thunberg on Twitter. Next up, and probably be our last tweet before we get to the video tonight, Pastor Ken Peters. He says that many Americans are trying to get into their country. Did you know that we're locking people out of our country, honey? Like good American citizens. They are being murdered at the border by Planned Parenthood and their own parents. Let them in. I don't know what the fuck he's talking about. Planned Parenthood isn't murdering anybody. And if parents are murdering their children, then they should probably be arrested. But see, this pastor dude right here thinks that abortion is murder. And so that kind of convolutes the conversation a little bit there, because parents aren't killing their kids, at least in the context that he's talking about. Planned Parenthood isn't killing anybody. Nobody is stopping people from coming into the border in the way that he's talking about. Coming through the border in the way that he's talking about. It's not Americans that are coming through the border and we're trying to stop or anything like that.
You know, donating this much only makes me drink more.
Ned Silver says, out of curiosity, when are you going to put more Bible podcast episodes on Google Podcasts? I'll have to see about that. I think that maybe I need a different platform to host them on. I mean, I have access to platforms to host them on. I just gotta get it done. So hopefully next year I'll get all that sorted out there, Ned. Thank you for reminding me of it. But anyways, so that's gonna be it for all of the tweets and comments and everything like that. I really appreciate everybody, giving me their opinions about the Tate thing and everything like that. So we're gonna go right on into the response video now about how Santa is turning people into an atheist. All right. So it's always a little hard for me to find a Muslim apologist that's making these kinds of arguments. Because a lot of the times it's Christian evangelicals that are making, arguments of this nature, not so much Muslim apologists, but we've got a couple of Muslim apologists here that are going to be making an argument that the idea of Santa Claus is turning kids into atheists. And it's like a gateway drug to atheism. So let's see what he's got to say. You ready, honey?
I'm ready.
Casey's ready. Hope y'all are holding on to your butts.
I got my butt.
You got your butt?
You know, I have a personal theory about this, that there are articles about this on how Santa Claus has led to atheism. But I take it a little step further. This is my theory on Santa Claus and the Easter Bunny and Tooth Fairy and all of these fictional characters that Western culture has.
Oh, shit. He's just taking on the whole menagerie of fucking mythical creatures. Well, we've got Santa Claus, the Easter Bunny, the Tooth Fairy, that bitch. This is a little... I was a little too mad at the whole Tooth Fairy thing. But anyways, all right. So he's taken on all of them. Apparently all of them are turning people. It's not just Santa Claus. It's all of them that are turning people into atheists.
The thing is that when a child is young, their parents and adults that are around them in their life, they're their idols.
Right.
They're everything to them, and they trust them completely because as a child, you can't do things on your own.
Sure.
So when you're growing up being told that Santa Claus is real, and that Santa Claus has a very similar contract as God, which is you can't see him, but he sees you.
Right.
If you're naughty you get punished, and if you're good, you get blessings and gifts. And then
like, I get that both Muslims and Christians sort of paint the heaven or the afterlife as this gift that's given by God, but I mean, I feel like the Santa comparison here to God obviously works, but it's on a much smaller scale because, you know, with Santa Claus, you're talking about either getting coal or just not getting anything for Christmas if you're bad. But, you know, God sends you to hell to burn in hell for eternity. Like,
2 Timothy, what the fuck ever? Shut the fuck up.
These things are essentially different. And I feel like one scars a child a whole lot more than the other. Like, the Santa thing doesn't really scar a child, but like telling the kid that, you know, they'll burn in hell forever for doing very basic human things, I feel like is more emotionally scarring. Daniel M says he may not be wrong. The last time I saw Santa come down my chimney, he said, "God isn't real, but I am. Merry Christmas." And then he did one of these, "Get dumped, bitch." And then he went right back up that fucking chimney. Because, like, Santa Claus is like a wrestler or something that does this. He's part of Degeneration X. I mean, that only makes sense.
Does
it? All right. Let's see where he goes with this.
Fast forward to when you're old, all of a sudden, people are telling you Santa Claus isn't real. Tooth Fairy isn't real. The Easter Bunny isn't real.
Like, he says, fast forward to when you're older and people are telling you that Santa Claus and the Easter Bunny aren't real. Like, fast forward, how far are you fast forwarding? Because, like, even for me, by the time I was like, I don't know, maybe 8, like, I had other kids in my class that were like, Santa ain't real, John. And then my parents were like, hey, we're Santa. Santa ain't real. And it's like, it did not shatter my world. Okay, so you think this guy right here was very affected by? I mean, apparently it scarred him for life. Can't you tell? Well, yeah. I mean, if he was in that situation, I mean, he talks about it being Western culture as if it's something foreign to him. So I don't know if he actually experienced it or if he's just sort of, you know, if he's just sort of speculating about what kids would go through. I mean, my world wasn't shattered, but if somebody's world was shattered by it and they felt like they couldn't trust their parents anymore, I mean, I guess, you know, that's something for a therapist to deal with. But I mean, I feel like for the most part, kids are not going to have their entire reality shattered because it's like, oh, Santa ain't real. We're the ones that put shit underneath the tree. We give you gifts. You know, we're the ones that always see you when you're sleeping, which can be a little bit creepy coming from parents, I guess. But in any case, I just don't know how far he's fast forwarding here. Like, how far is he really? Does he, like, how long does he think parents take to, like, tell their kids that Santa's not real? I mean, I was around 7 or 8 when it got revealed to me, and I was told to let my sister keep on believing, but she already didn't believe. So I don't know when y'all stopped believing in Santa or if y'all were ever taught shit about Santa. I don't know. Let me know in the chat, I guess.
This whole world that you have built as a child, I mean, it's a very traumatic moment because not only did your parents lie to you, which is not only, this is a huge case.
Right. It's a social construct that suddenly collapses upon itself. And you're like, what? The whole world as I understood it no longer exists. And that's pretty shocking.
The whole world as they understood it no longer exists. I feel like they're making this whole reveal about Santa or the Tooth Fairy or anything like that is being a much bigger thing than it actually is. Yeah, they're definitely being way more dramatic about this shit. Because it's like, I mean, I just don't see it shattering your entire understanding of reality. Like, it shatters maybe one particular thing about your worldview. Like, whether or not there's some jolly fat fuck that watches you while you sleep and counts the number of nice things that you do as a way to determine how good a present you should get when it comes Christmas time. Like, that, I feel like that's a very small portion of your worldview. I mean, hell, when I was a kid, I didn't think about Santa until, like, I don't know, November. And I was like, oh shit, Santa's been watching me all year. Fuck, I'm not getting shit. And then I'd be surprised every year I would still get the shit that I asked for. Like, I would never get coal. Like, there was never one time I woke up and I got coal. You got coal? That sucks. I'm just saying, like, I never woke up and got coal. I never had bad repercussions because, like, I did a shitty thing back in February or something like that. And so I don't know. Anyway, Star Sapphire Tomato Chan says, wait, Santa doesn't the
Gobble
real?
gobble, motherfucker.
My world's shattered.
It's very traumatic.
It's really shocking, yeah.
My parents were lying to me, and the movies themselves were lying, and the media was lying, and all other adults were lying about this concept. And so the immediate reaction that I believe I would even have as a child when I really reflected on if I was told Santa Claus was fake after being told it was real is shame.
Shame? He would feel shame about it? Also, it's like, he's like, oh, you mean my parents were lying to me? Yeah. Yeah. Well, see, that's why I don't think that he's talking from like personal experience here. You still recommend a therapist? But like, if a child doesn't think that on some level their parents are just completely transparent with them and are not lying to them, like at least on some kind of level, I feel like that's just just how naive kids can be, because obviously parents are going to lie to their kids. I mean, parents are going to lie to their kids about a lot of things. Like if a parent's having trouble paying bills, they're not going to sit there and tell the kid, I don't know if we're going to have water this month, Jimmy. Like, they're not going to sit there and do that to their kids. They're not going to cause their kids unnecessary anxiety and stress. Some people do that, and I wouldn't suggest doing that, but I'm just saying that, like, parents are going to end up lying to their children. So, I mean, sitting there and telling a little white lie about a jolly fat man that's going to bring you gifts is not the end of the world. It's not going to emotionally damage a child. Maybe could there be a single time or very rare moment where a child's entire world is shattered? Maybe. But for the most part, I would think that this would not be all that, like, groundbreaking to a child or traumatic to a child. He's making this out to be way more than it actually is.
Why? I'm ashamed that I believed this, or that I felt like a fool. How could I believe this and everyone else was fooling me the entire time? So what a lot of American kids no longer want to feel like is a fool.
Right, and that's kind of the connection that he's drawing here. KC said that that's how a lot of people feel after they, after they realize they don't believe in God
May the power
anymore.
of Christ compel you to get the fuck out of here.
After they realize they don't believe in God anymore, they do feel like foolish and all this other stuff. And I mean, maybe kids might feel, a little fooled or whatnot by the whole Santa thing. But, like, I feel like, this is a time to teach your child to be skeptical about stuff. I mean, when I told Xander that, Santa's not real, which I did that at a much younger age than it was done for me. But, I used it as a chance to teach him about skepticism and how, you should really think about these particular concepts and how they don't make sense with how reality works and all this other stuff. Like, I did it on a much simpler level, but I'm just saying, like, you could use this as an opportunity to teach your child about something, because it's not anything to be ashamed about. And if there are kids that are feeling shamed because they trusted their parents, I don't think that they need to be. I think that, children should trust their parents, even if their parents are lying to them about this type of stuff. Because, like he said at the beginning, children rely on their parents. And it's not that children can't do anything, but they are seriously restricted from doing a lot of stuff. And their parents are supposed to be the ones that are teaching them about the world. And so, I can understand maybe feeling a little bit this way, but the intensity that this guy is talking about this, as if this is some kind of world-shattering thing that's just going to totally wreck a child. I don't think it's all that serious, but maybe I just, I haven't talked to a lot of people about this. Daniel M says, a big one that is used, that'll go on your permanent record, brought up by the morning show I listened to. Oh yeah, that's another big scary thing that's been thrown at me on occasion too. That'll go on your permanent record. Okay. Permanent school record or something? I don't know. I think it's mainly done like in schools, like, I don't know. No. Like, if you get in trouble at school, like, it'll go on your permanent record. And it'll haunt you. It's like you're in 12th grade, you're about to graduate. It's like, I see here you scratched your dick in the 4th grade, so you're not going to graduate. Yeah, it would be. Anyways.
Yeah. And no longer want to be tricked into some invisible being that is going to come save them or going to come or going to judge upon them. So I think they immediately tie it, the stupidity of Santa Claus and how stupid they felt, stupid quote unquote, because it's not their fault, to how stupid it is if, oh yeah, you want me to fall into another one, God?
Yeah, so that's...
Well, now I can agree with this, because the comparison between Santa Claus and God, I feel like you can use that as a stepping stone for, like, oh, well, you know how Santa doesn't have any evidence to suggest that he's real, that anything that he does can actually happen in reality? Well, guess what? God does all these things too, and there's no evidence that God can do those as well. Like, I feel like there is an easy bridge to get from Santa Claus to not believing in Santa Claus to not believing in God. But there was a really big disconnect for me, at least, in discussing, in finding out that God's not, or Santa's not real, to later on determining whether or not God was real. Like, I didn't get there by way of Santa, but I could see how somebody might.
Donating this much only makes me drink more.
Alex Baranowski says, my friend had to tell her kid Santa isn't real when he wanted to leave the fireplace on to catch Santa. Jesus Christ. Fuck. Your friend has a sociopathic child. To catch Santa. Did the kid not want presents, or like what wanted to roast Santa's ass? Also, I would think that Santa would be able to determine that the fireplace was on, and then, he'd be able to, like, I don't know, do some kind of magical thing to turn it off so that he could come down. Like, I don't know. There's ways to get around that, I think, because it's all magic, right? But in any case, I could see how, creating this figure of Santa to essentially be like a lower demigod similar to God, having similar attributes to God, and being like, oh, hey, this guy ain't real. And it's like, oh yeah, of course, nobody's omnipresent, nobody can do all this shit, nobody can produce presents out of their ass on Christmas Eve or whatever. And so, like all of the illogicalness of Santa then is highlighted in God. And I can see the bridge to get there, but I also don't really see a lot of kids going from, I don't believe in Santa anymore. Therefore, God's not real. Like, I feel like that's a really dramatic, like, path to get to atheism, but, you know, whatever. I feel like you could definitely use Santa as an exercise in skepticism and questioning things, which could eventually lead to questioning God, but doesn't necessarily have to lead that direction. Tony DeTaco.
You know, donating this much only makes me drink more. Woot woot! Here comes the gravy train.
Tony DeTaco says, when I have kids, I'm going to try to make them believe in Santa for as long as possible so their little souls are crushed when they find out the truth. Damn. That's horrible. Okay. Johnny Rapine says, watching The Matrix at the theater, when the agents drop Mr. Anderson's permanent record in front of him, I said bedwetter, and people laughed. Bedwetter. And that's on his permanent record. Yeah, that's what it would be like.
That's really interesting the way you put it, is because, and you also started with calling it Western. I'd point out to you that, I mean, yes, we have these three, but the
You know, donating this much only makes me drink more.
Jester says, can we just admit that Santa is messed up for giving flammables to naughty children? That's a good point. Coal is flammable, and I don't know why Santa would give like little pieces of things that could be set on fire and thrown back at him, or.
I mean, so is fucking wrapping paper.
That's
You
right.
can light wrapping paper faster than you can light coal.
True. You can light wrapping paper faster than you can light coal. But, you know, when you're opening presents, you're not thinking about setting the shit on fire.
Some people are, because they're crazy. Like that little bitch who wanted to fucking burn Santa's ass.
the Easter Bunny, Santa Claus, and the Tooth Fairy, we have them in Western culture. Almost every culture in the world, we have mythical beings, right? The challenge we have here, particularly in the United States, because the understanding of Santa Claus is very different in the Netherlands than it is here. The understanding, I mean, the Eastern Bunny is not even a thing in most of Europe.
Gobble gobble, motherfucker.
Apocalypse Meow says Santa, the OG coal roller. Literal coal.
And the Tooth Fairy is also not a thing. They're all commercialized, right? So the one challenge we have in the US is the hyper-commercialization of our mythic origins. The challenges that come from it is that when you grow
I'm
up...
on the highway to hell. Bow-dow-bow.
Mathwiz says, plus coal is bad for the climate. Maybe Santa should be giving the naughty kids uranium or solar panels. Uranium? Fuck. No, I would not give them uranium. Solar panels, maybe. Like, come on, kid. You need to do some work for your family. You need to make up for all that shit you did earlier in the year.
But don't give it to kids who live with a fucking HOA.
Yeah, kids with an HOA don't get solar panels.
Donating this much only makes me drink more.
Daniel M says, in the 80s, we thought about setting shit on fire with those awesome chemistry sets we got. Some of those chemistry sets were like fucking radioactive, if I remember correctly, because it was like, hey, let's make our what was it? There was this one kit where you could make like a not thermonuclear, but like a nuclear reactor or something like that, or you could do experiments with radiation or some shit, and it's like, no, that's we didn't play test this well enough. Like, we didn't figure that shit out quick enough right there.
Up, we assume everything is about being conned. Everything is about being monetized. And that's why people have a hard time with religion, oftentimes, is because it's just another monetization of the mind for someone else to manipulate and use.
Now, I like how these guys, so far in this video, which we're a little over halfway done with it now, I like how these guys recognize how Santa is similar in nature to God, and how there's similar amounts of evidence for both God and Santa. but yet, obviously they still believe in God. And they think it's ridiculous to teach kids about an easier concept to debunk first, and then that could potentially lead to debunking this idea of God for them. Like, not only that, but they also recognize the commercialization of not only like our holidays and how commercialized those are, but also how commercialized religion is in general. Because, everybody's always asking for money to donate money here, donate money there, and everything like that. I like how they can recognize how all these systems are commercialized and how they're like Santa's a good example of a bullshit figure, just like God's kind of a bullshit figure. I like how they can recognize all of this, but they're still so steadfastly on the side of like religion and God. It's astounding to me.
You can see that after this entire generation of material excess and commercialization, after what young people have gone through, who are now in their 30s and early 40s, you can see why they're irreverent towards a lot of socially established norms, because a lot of those norms have been manipulated and turned into.
Quentin Van Boeven says, speaking of donating money here and there, donate to GE. Thank you so much there, Quentin.
2 Timothy, what the fuck ever? Shut the fuck up.
To money-making, profit-making machines for some tiny 1% of our population. So it's definitely something to consider about. I want to point this out to you. Can you argue with me that most people in the United States are Muslim in their heart?
We're Muslim in our hearts. Like, I feel like you're just forcing the Muslim position on people, even though they're not Muslim. Like, that's kind of a shitty thing to do. And I don't know why this applies to the whole Santa deal, but apparently it does in some kind of way. Okay, so he's moving into an argument that everybody's a Muslim already. Okay, I don't see that, but let's see where he goes.
But the challenge is manifesting it through their mouth because of the trauma that many of them have seen with religion, period.
So the trauma that they have experienced with religion prevents them from confessing that they're Muslim with their mouths? What? I feel like if you're not Muslim, the reason why you're not professing to be a Muslim is because you're not a fucking Muslim. And it just seems like by saying, well, everybody's already a Muslim, they just don't know it. It sounds so much like Christian evangelicals who say atheists don't exist because you already know a God exists. You're just suppressing that knowledge and unrighteousness. Like, it's the exact same kind of fucking dipshitty logic that Christian evangelicals use.
Let alone 9/11, let alone talking about any type of extremism, but just the trauma that they've undergone with religion in the public space.
I mean, religion is pretty traumatic, but I feel like religion in general is traumatic. And I really don't think that Islam is an exception to that. The people have definitely been traumatized by not only the social systems based around Islam, but also Muslim people themselves have traumatized other people with Islam. So, I mean, I feel like he thinks that Islam is the exception to the rule when it's really just part of the rule.
And, you know, the auntie thought about that and she said, you're right. You really are. Most people in this country really do manifest Islamic beliefs, manifest a belief in the one God, manifest the finality of there being a day of judgment, of angels and whatnot. But the challenge that they have of giving charity, of doing right for the sake of right, forget reward, do right because it is our duty to do right.
I mean, I can understand like how, like with that being part of maybe the Islamic theology, which I don't know exactly what particular tenet in Islam that he's talking about with, like, do right for right, not because you're going to get rewarded or anything like that. I mean, I can agree with the principle, but that doesn't make me a Muslim. And I could essentially agree with a good portion of the good tenets, I guess, contained in Islam, just like I agree with the good portions contained in Christianity. Just because there is some good shit in these religions doesn't mean that I have to strictly adhere to those religions. I mean, I can develop my own worldview and my own way of thinking about how I should act and behave without becoming part of those religions. And pushing the Muslim position, or pushing the position that you adhere to Islam on people that obviously don't, I think is kind of shitty. I do understand it from his perspective, though, because it's an Abrahamic God, and the Abrahamic God is what most people believe in. And so I can understand him confusing it a little bit, but to sit there and be like, well, everybody's already Muslim, that's just straight up shitty, in my opinion.
The reason they don't say Shahada, the reason they don't believe in our religion publicly, is because, one, we live in a country where there is no compulsion in religion. Thank God. You can be who you want to be. But two, because of what religion in the public space has become associated with.
Oh, you mean like people traumatizing other people with religion in various ways? Are you talking about the exploitation that happens by people practicing certain religions? Do you mean the social systems that end up denigrating and subjecting certain people in your society to these oppressive ideas? Is that what you mean? Like over there, was it in Iran that they're now prohibiting, or is either Iran or Iraq? Iraq is prohibiting women from going to school. Afghanistan?
I think it's Afghanistan, because the Taliban's running Afghanistan, right?
Mm-hmm. There's Afghanistan. Afghanistan, they're preventing women from, going to school, going to college, and everything. Like, is that the kind of shit? Because, like, Islam, regardless of whether or not it's in the public space or whatever, it's still doing that. Like preventing women from going to school or whatnot can be justified in Islamic theology. Like, all of that can be justified in Islamic theology. So, I mean, it doesn't make a lot of sense to me that it's like, oh, people don't want to be Muslim because of what religion has done in the public space. It's like, no, maybe people don't want to be Muslim just because they can see with their own fucking eyes, like, what the religion calls you to do, what are the characteristics of this God, of this religion, and they just don't agree with it. Like, that is a far more reasonable thing, other than, oh, you're really Muslim, you just are afraid because of reasons.
And there was a great study that came out last week, I believe it was by Pew Research, that pointed out that it's very possible that by 2050, America will not be a Christian majority country. And the reason, again, when you dive into the numbers, it comes down to how religion has been deliberately mismanaged, misused, and manipulated by populist forces.
Well, so I feel like what he's trying to argue here is that religion isn't bad, in that, there are no religious ideals that are necessarily oppressive, and that it's how people are using religion in society to oppress people, to cause trauma, to do all of these things that are forcing people to leave religion. But I feel like all of those things, are happening, but I feel like it's forcing people to reconsider their worldview, to reconsider why they're believing in these things, and maybe that's why they're leaving religion. Like, because they're like, you know what? I mean, I get that Pastor Dan over there thinks that, something or another is going to send me to hell, but it really doesn't seem like that should send me to hell. And why would a God send me to hell for something that's such a finite thing that isn't really even bad? Like, I feel like that's a much more reasonable course of events than just like, oh, well, there's bad people using religion to traumatize other people, therefore people don't want to be religious. Like, I feel like that they're trying to suggest that people aren't critically thinking about the religion or the tenets of the religion or the description of the God of the religion or what the religion tells them to do. It's like they're not being critical of that. They just don't like how religion's being used in the public. And I feel like that's, you're myopically focusing on one like minority in the entire, because I'm not saying that people aren't doing that, but I feel like a vast majority of people probably aren't doing that. Like the vast majority of people that are leaving religions are doing so because, they've critically examined the claims of the religion and the evidence that people provide for it, and they're just not convinced by it. And so they leave the religion. Of course, there's so much like flux going on in that particular sphere because people will leave Islam to go to Christianity, then they'll leave Christianity to go to Islam, and then they'll leave either one of those and just say, I don't give a fuck anymore, and I'm not religious. And some people will say, well, I don't believe in a God anymore, and other people will make up their own ideas about God. So there's no way that you could sit there and be like, oh, this is the thing that's happening. I think that the dynamics of it are so complex that you can't say that it's definitely this one thing like this guy is trying to do here.
So that they can achieve their own political ends.
Of course, the religion's used for their own political ends. I mean, people use religion for their own political ends all the time, not only in American culture, but in other cultures as well. I mean, over in the Middle East, you've got Afghanistan and Iran at least now that are primarily Islamic states. Like they base their government around the teachings of Islam, and that's what they're forcing on the people of those countries. And so Islam is no different than the Western world, or people that are practicing Islam in other portions of the world are in no different in this respect than people in America, using religion to, achieve their own goals or whatever. So I hate the idea of somebody acting like, oh, well, my religion's special, or, my view of my religion is definitely not doing this thing, when it kind of seems like it probably is. I don't know. Anyways, that's going to be it for the video. Kind of a short video tonight, but there's not really much to say about it. Ultimately, I do agree that using Santa as a tool to teach about skepticism can build a bridge that leads to being skeptical about God. I totally see that bridge being built there, but to suggest that people are going, children, mind you, children are going from believing in Santa and having a traumatic event where they find out that Santa's not real, and then immediately casting doubt on God. Like, I feel like that's what's the word there? Slippery slope. I feel like that's a slippery slope there. I don't think that's necessarily going on. Could that happen? Sure. But I don't think that that's primarily what's happening, and that's definitely not been my experience, but I know that my experience isn't the experience of everybody. So I feel like assuming that that's what's happening is kind of wrong, is the problem that I have with it. But then to move on to the whole thing about how everybody's a Muslim, I don't know. I feel like saying that is the same thing as a Christian evangelical saying that, well, no, you really do believe in God. You're not an atheist. You're just suppressing that knowledge and unrighteousness. It's the exact same kind of rhetoric. And the Christian evangelical version's bullshit, and this Islamic version is bullshit, because religion in the public sphere and how people are using religion in the public sphere is not preventing people from confessing their Muslim faith. They're just not Muslim. That's it. But I feel like underneath all of this, there's like some kind of psychological thing where I feel like both Christian evangelicals and I guess these Islamic apologists, they just can't seem to handle this idea that people don't believe in their particular religious ideas. Like, they just can't seem to grasp the concept of people not believing in the same thing as them and having different ideas. Because to me, at least, it seems very obvious that they have this problem, because they have to force everybody to believe the same thing that they do. They just have to make up reasons as to why they're not being publicly transparent about it. Like, they're not, these people over here are saying they're atheists, but they're not really atheists. They're either Muslim or Christian, or just in general a God believer, because they just want to suppress this knowledge, or they don't want to say anything about it because they're pressured by religion or how they've been treated by religion in the past or something like that. Like, there's all these ad hoc speculations that come up with to explain why this person really is this thing, but they're not telling us they're this thing. And so you just have to make up bullshit in order to explain it. And at that point, I feel like you should just, people should just fuck off with that kind of logic. Anyways.
Here comes the gravy train.
Hell yeah, Eric. Thank you for that gravy train. I appreciate it. But anyways, that's going to be it for the show tonight. I do have the Skeptic Mafia comments that we are going to be going over. So if you want to hang on for that, please do. But if you're going to be leaving out right now, please go down below and let me know what you thought about this live stream. Let me know what you think about Andrew Tate. Let me know what you think about this whole Santa thing and everybody being a Muslim. Let me know down in the comments down below. And while you're down there, why don't you smash that like button and subscribe if you like this kind of live stream. And don't forget to stand up and use your voice. Bye, heathens. But don't go, because we've got the Skeptic Mafia comments. If you guys don't know, here on the Godless Engineer channel, we have the Skeptic Mafia. The Skeptic Mafia is the memberships that we have here on the channel. And if you're part of the Mafioso tier or higher, you can leave your own thoughts on the video that we cover on Friday nights. And I will read them and respond to them live on the live stream if you leave a comment. And so that's what we're going to be going into right now. Took a second hit. First up, we've got Daniel M, who says, I didn't see the video. However, David and I watched Violent Night, and it was fucking awesome. That is now my favorite Christmas movie. Santa has to give them their lumps straight up their anus, and you should join the Skeptic Mafia to stay off Santa's naughty list. Trust me, you do not want to be on Santa's naughty list. GE can tell you how. That's by joining the Skeptic Mafia, by hitting that join link or going to joinskepticmafia.com. And you too cannot be on Santa's naughty list. Alex Baranowski says, hey y'all, sorry for the long absence, been very busy. Okay, so the start of this video is really weird, but to each their own on how they introduce their content. I have a theory based on articles I've read. Okay, dude, I hope you're going to cite these articles. Nope, they don't. Is he seriously arguing that because kids are taught about Santa and the Easter Bunny and then told these things aren't real, it makes them stop believing in God? For this to be reliably true, two things need to be the cause. One, a large portion of the people who believe in God as adults were never taught to believe in Santa as children in the first place. And two, next to nobody who was raised not believing in God were also raised for any length of time believing in Santa. I don't think either of these are true. If anything, it's an exercise in critical thinking, but not enough people translate this into skepticism towards gods or supernatural claims. Personally, I think it's easier to see how Santa could be made up than how God could be made up. There's something more anthropocentric about Santa than God, especially generic gods that aren't personal, which is why it's harder to stop believing in God than in Santa. Yeah, I agree with that. It's much harder to apply that same skepticism to God because God is this thing that even adults, believe in. Even if there's no good evidence for it, it's just sort of this thing that's thought of as being innately true about reality. Like, that's just a fact about reality. God exists. That's how I was taught. And so I wasn't taught to apply skepticism to the question of God because I wasn't told or taught that there was even a question about God. And then the other dude in the video goes on a weird Islam rant and he totally lost me. What hasn't lost me is the Skeptic Mafia. Y'all know the script. For a few bucks a month, you can be part of our little cult where we get all sorts of exclusive stuff from GE. See everyone tonight. Thank you there, Alex. Command Cyborg is next saying, hello, world. What now? Oh, that was a whole lot of dumb. So apparently Santa is fake, therefore Allah? No, I don't buy it. You dumb, sorry. Rather, finding out the truth about the tradition of Santa should be an incentive for a skeptic way of life. Consider the whale peen. I heard from a bad authority that it's 15 foot long. Smash all the buttons, ring a ding dong, insert a free shilling here. Hey, part of being in the Skeptic Mafia is that you get to hear the podcast that both Casey and I record, where we talk about current political things that are going on, or political things that happened in the past 2 weeks. Either way, it's a good podcast, I think, and you get to hear Casey's thoughts on stuff. Everybody loves hearing your thoughts, hon. Okay. That's all, folks. Thank you and good night, world. Transmission terminated. Thank you so much there, Command Cyborg. Appreciate you. Next up is Drew's Book Reviews, who says, we all know that Santa is not real, obviously. It's the Hogfather who flies around with the flying pigs to deliver presents on Hogs Watch Night. Lol. Anyway, heathens, Happy New Year, and I hope you all had a wonderful 2022 and have a great 2023. Until next time, keep on reading. Thank you there, Drew. Next is Trickster, who says he starts by saying that Santa and the like are taught to young children so they will believe, but says nothing about how religion does the same thing. If an adult who had never been taught about religion or Santa Claus was told that there is an old bearded white man who sees everything you do and will reward or punish you for the things you do, you would probably say, that's what you say, but can you prove it? Santa or God, both are taught for the same reasons. Control. Be good or else. That's right. Right. Hit the nail on the head there, Trickster. Next up is Jester, who says, I'm secretly Muslim now? Feck Allah. May he rot in eternal horror. Fuck. There, that should fix that. Anywho, that's all that's worth saying about the rest is just a confession. Join the Skepticus Mafiosus, and you can watch GE and Animated KC react to even more admissions against interest and other silly things. You'll even get cool emojis like the Incredible Whale Peen and help fight intellectual poverty with your non-revocable ticket to hell. Thank you so much there, Jester. Next up is Darren Wright, who says, Darren Wright here, the video starts out with what seems to be valid points, and then that other dude takes it off the rails and tries to make it seem like we're all Muslim, whether we admit it or not. What a dick. Anyway, I grew up a pastor's kid and never really believed in Santa. However, later, when I was still a Christian, I let my kids believe in Santa. They figured it out. It wasn't devastating to them. They just chalked it up to a childhood thing and moved along. Now, of course, all 2 of my kids are atheists and one agnostic atheist, so maybe there is something to it. All 3 of my kids are grown adults and use common sense and their thinking abilities to figure that part out on their own. Now, with that said, I do believe that when some kids find out, it is devastating to them and could lead them down the path described in the video. I mean, whatever produces more atheists is good in my book. Lol. On my way out the door, hey y'all, sign up to become part of the Skeptic Mafia. It's just awesome, and you get official certificate in the mail as well as a card to carry around in your wallet or purse to show anyone anytime. The lawyers are telling me that we can't promise any of that because, I mean, we don't ask for like your address or nothing. There's no way for us to get that shit to you, but you know, we'll give it to Santa and Santa will give it to you at the end of the year. Actually, that last sentence was a complete lie, but what am I doing right now that you non-members aren't doing? Commenting on the video for this evening during my lunch break. Well, I work from home, so really all day can be a lunch break. But I digress. Just sign up, damn it. Happy New Year to GE and Mrs. GE. I know that 2023 is going to be a great year for us all. Takes a shot. Please don't tell my boss. KC's saving all of her drinking for tomorrow night. She said K. So I too can see how finding out that Santa's not real may be devastating to some kids out there, but I feel like if it is devastating, you know, to a child, then you know, that's just a moment that can be capitalized on by the parents. Yeah, or the parents could just not lie to the kids about it from the beginning. But either way, as just a simple exercise in skepticism, I feel like it has a lot of value, regardless. So, I don't know. I don't know any studies on the effects of Santa Claus belief on kids, but you know, it's whatever. Next up is Star Sapphire Tomato Chan. They said, wish I had the time to sit down and watch it, but unfortunately I got people to do and things to see today, so I'll just wait until tonight to see you thoroughly eviscerate this. In the meantime, I guess I'll post some ASCII. Happy New Year! We did it, everyone! We made it through another year, and what a lovely way to close out the year with Andrew, child trafficker Tate, being caught by Romanian police because a teenager called him out on social media. Anyway, enough off-topic stuff. Go ahead and lick that like button and all the other buttons around it. Make sure you ding the dinger, and remember, I am not food! Thank you, Tomato Sapphire, Star Sapphire Tomato Chan. I got there. Next is Cillian D. Sorry if I've mispronounced it. I don't know how to do that little accenty thingy. Some very good points presented in this video. Yes, the revelation that you are a human being with a human brain, as in you are naturally inclined to trust and believe without checking if that is the right thing to do, is traumatic. And there is even an evolutionary explanation for that. When a fellow animal runs from a danger you do not see, if you start questioning the reality of the danger, you'd better have already passed your genes, as you'd probably die soon. So, okay, there is a trauma when you discover how your mind is built. Is that bad? Or can you do as they say, start being skeptic so that it becomes harder to fool you? Why do they perceive it as a bad thing to become less gullible? Well, because then, you know, it'll be harder to convince people of your religion, obviously. Is that a good thing to believe the rabbi when he tells you about Moses, whereas the same rabbi have signed a study proving Moses could not exist? When paying attention to all the negative proofs about his existence, for Jesus, the deal is not yet fully done, but you can't trust Christianity nor Islam when Judaism is a lie. So yes, knowing about myths being just myths, leading to myths, being sent where they belong, so what? Does that mean we should not tell those myths because religion gets a deserved fate out of the process? Nope. At least not if you consider that teaching those myths is a way to teach about greater myths, kindness, love, justice, because we can act with those big myths to make them come true. If God dies along the process, who cares? And the Hogfather says, hi, Terry Pratchett's Santa Claus. Okay. Santa does not cause atheism. Fact checking does. I can agree with that. Let's see. Jonathan Nichols says, YouTube is listing my comment under my @sign, not my name. This is Jonathan Nickel. Okay. I'm not sure what the @name is, but it comes up as Jonathan Nickel for me. But anyways, to start with this pair do have a point that if you teach kids to accept one set of myths, then tell them that those stories aren't real, the child may then question other things that they have been told, such as their religion. However, I am sure Christian parents will be ready for that. They'll point out that many adults do also accept Yahweh and Jesus, then point to the Bible and state that there isn't a holy book of Santa Claus. Having said that, A Visit from St. Nicholas is a popular story, at least in the U.S., and it describes in detail the red suit, the reindeer, and other aspects associated with the modern image of Santa Claus. That is the poem that begins with the line, "'Twas the night before Christmas, when all through the house not a creature was stirring, not even a fat ass in a red suit." Well, what the Muslims didn't point out was that the concept of Santa Claus originated with St. Nicholas, still a recognized saint, even if his feast day is no longer celebrated. That may lead an intelligent child to start from questioning Santa to questioning Christianity, but I don't think most kids would make that particular connection. Of course, a couple of Muslims wouldn't care for Christmas anyway, as they celebrate Eid. I think that's how you pronounce it. When one of them asserted that most people in America, a majority Christian country, hold Islamic beliefs, I had to wonder from which butt cheek he pulled that little nugget of information. Directly in the center. Have a happy new year, everyone, and I hope you agree with me that Christmas isn't officially over until you sing Auld Lang Syne. I don't know if I pronounced that right, but close enough. That's going to be it. Hold on. That's it for our show tonight. I hope you guys enjoyed it. I really appreciate all of the Skeptic Mafia members, giving us their thoughts on the video. I mean, honestly, the video was a bit underwhelming. I guess maybe because of the fact that, I do agree that the whole Santa as sort of a minor sort of example that resembles God, and how somebody could be led down that path of, well, Santa's not real, therefore is God real? Like, I could understand how somebody would get there, but I feel like there's a pretty big disconnect in a child's mind between God and Santa, because Santa just gives you presents. God sends you to hell. I mean, I feel like there's a little bit more at stake with God as far as like how it's portrayed to children and people in general. Right. So Casey was rightly pointing out that I didn't give comparable things. Santa gives you coal, God sends you to hell. Santa gives you presents, God gives you heaven, sends you to heaven, whatever. So I mean, I just there's also the aspect of God being more socially acceptable, like as far as like even adults believing in God. And it's just seen as an innate truth about reality. And so I feel like that is the big speed bump in the way, for that. But I could definitely see a child going from one to the other and being skeptical of both at that point. So, I guess on part of the way I agree, but on another way, I guess I don't, especially with the whole everybody's Muslim thing. But anyways, we're probably going to have, we will have our first live stream next week. If you have any ideas about, live stream content, please, you can always send it to me in the various ways, either Discord, I check sometimes, or email, or any of the other social media stuff. Huh? Twitter, Facebook, all that kind of good shit. Johnny Rapine says Santa's sacrament, cookies and milk. You got to give up them cookies and milk, otherwise Santa will fuck you up. It is better than being cannibal. It's also better than drinking blood. Which, I guess would be part of being a cannibal, but yeah. Anyways, I will see you heathens later. Don't forget to stand up, use your voice, and all that kind of good shit. And we will see you guys next week. Happy New Year! Bye, heathens.